difference in fellow VEDSies. Villain songs are the best, aren't they? The coolest characters get the coolest songs, which means that usually the villain has the best song in any musical. However, when we talk about villain songs, I feel like we get stuck in the same rotation. And don't get me wrong, I love Poor Unfortunate Souls, I love Be Prepared, I love In the Dark of the Night, but we all know about them. We all know these great villain songs from movies. So what happens if we focus on the villain songs of the stage? Now, when I started to share this list with a couple of friends, I got some questions. So I figured I would explain to you the basic criteria that I'm working with so that it doesn't seem quite so out of left field. Basically, there are 3 categories. 1, what's the vibe? Does it go well with the rest of the sound of the soundtrack? Is it contrasting the rest of the show in an interesting way? Is it musically complex? Is it catchy? As an actor, will I get excited that this is the song that I get to sing? These are the questions that fit under the vibe category. 2, what is the effect of the song on the story? Usually a villain song is external. It's there to persuade, to coerce, to seduce, to intimidate the other characters. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes it is self-motivational, or sometimes it is internal and is just to let us know what the villain is thinking and feeling in that moment. This isn't necessary, but for me, having an effect on the story makes a song more memorable and more powerful. And 3, what is the effect on the audience? There isn't a right answer for what a villain song is supposed to do to an audience. Master of the House and Epiphany do very different things, and if they aren't, you're probably doing something wrong. But the audience at the end of the number should be different than they were at the beginning of the number. They should be feeling something, whether it's anger or sympathy or reflection on something they haven't questioned before. Hopefully that explains my thought process enough that y'all don't roast me for some of these takes. But without further ado, here is my top 15 villain songs of the stage, starting off with an honorable mention. Look, I know this sounds like a shitpost. Really? One of Woody's songs from the Toy Story musical they made for the cruise line? In a top 15 villain song? But when I tell you this song is fucking creepy. Like, genuinely the only reason this is not in the actual list is because somehow after shrinking Sid down to the size of a toy and then torturing him and scarring him for the rest of his life, Woody is still considered a protagonist? No, it's just fucking creepy.
Noise. Don't be fooled if I should giggle like a sappy happy dope.
Little Shop of Horrors is a weird show, and because it's so weird, it has several villain songs that I could have chosen. Feed Me, Supper Time, Don't Feed the Plants, Dentist. There were so many options for me to choose from. And yet, this song where the abusive dentist gets stuck in his gas mask is my favorite of all of those songs. Think about it, it's a really messed up death. Like, even if it's not bloody, it's really creepy. And every aspect of the song is just fueling that, from the cackling to the really fast pace in Seymour's sections versus the really slow pace in Orin's sections. And all of it leads to this really exhilarating, crazy, creepy scene of this man asphyxiating while cackling, and our protagonist is just sitting there. It's just, oh my god, I love this song.
Are you satisfied? I've laughed myself to... death. Remember my clean shave back our old days.
Waitress doesn't seem like the kind of show that should have a villain song. And this is definitely one of the most subtle songs on this list. However, it's that subtlety that lends it credibility. You can see why Jenna fell in love with this guy, but you can also see that he's a piece of shit who doesn't care about her. This is a lot more rock sounding than a lot of the other Waitress songs, which helps it really stand out against Jenna's music. She's not safe in this environment, and we feel agitated because it's not the right sound. And the way he constantly refers to her as his, which, you know, in theory is romantic, but just completely comes off as possessive and creepy and horrible, makes you want her to get out more than you already did. It's a brilliant display of what a relationship like this is like, and that's why it's so successful and so memorable. Choose Stars as their Les Mis villain song, and it is gorgeous and I love it, but I just can't. I can't in good conscience call Javert a villain. I feel like he is an antagonist, but not a villain, and we have to make that distinction. I have had several arguments about this. I still hold that claim. Okay, so why not Master of the House? I mean, I love that song, but no. See, I've been pretty lucky and I've gotten to see Les Mis a couple of different times now, and there's always the songs that I am just excited to see. But then without fail, we reach the scene in the sewers and dog eats dog, and I am filled with fucking fury. This scene completely transforms how we feel about Thénardier from a we love to hate him to we hate him and want to see him suffer some horrible consequence type of deal. He's literally looting the corpses of all of the other characters. Like, he is reprehensible garbage. This song isn't necessarily deep or complicated or catchy like some of the others are, but it fills me with anger to my core every time I'm watching the show, and that is a marker of success. Just slaps, plain and simple. Like, I could tell you about the technical reasons I love it, like how the Squip's techno vibe has completely taken over the soundtrack, how the Jenna riffs are fucking killer, how all of the promises the Squip made to Jeremy about how he'd be loved in Act 1 have now been transformed into promises about how the Squip is going to be loved. But honestly, it all pales in comparison to just how much this song fucking slaps.
We have our own golden rule here.
If you're not familiar with Twisted, the basic concept is Wicked, but if it was Jafar from Aladdin. Although honestly, I feel bad saying that because I like Twisted a lot more than I like either Wicked or Aladdin, and I don't dislike either of those things. I just think it's a masterpiece. It's free on YouTube. Check it out sometime. There's a couple contenders for what could be considered the villain song of Twisted, but Golden Rule Evil Reprise is easily my favorite of them. Both the instrumental shift and the change of the lyrics from Golden Rule to Gold and Rule are brilliant and subtle, and I absolutely love it.
We follow the goat, 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 and rule.
So those are numbers 15 through 11. I am splitting this up into 3 parts because I need to make this video last for the whole weekend that I'm at my cousin's wedding. So tune in tomorrow to see numbers 10 through 6, and my friends and fellow VEDSies, I will see you tomorrow!